I used to think that diets were the answer, but after losing 150 pounds and keeping it off for over 10 years now, I see diets for what they really are, a distraction. And for context, I was morbidly obese from the age of 6 to age 21, and within that time, I probably tried 50 diets or more, and each of them failed. Yes, some of them might have worked momentarily, but they all ended up the exact same way. Back to where I started, if not worse. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 pretty unique reasons why diets ended up failing for me completely and what ended up working in the long run. So hopefully you can learn from this. Let's get into it. First of all, they don't create a mind shift around food, and probably even worse, they make you focus on food even more. And as an example, here's a story from my past. A typical Friday night for me. I'd sit down, order the biggest pizza I could afford, get a 2-liter pop as well, and sit down and play League of Legends. And yeah, that binge would last until about 3 a.m., and then I'd pass out in a pizza-driven coma. This was not hunger. This was drowning. Probably because growing up, food wasn't food. Food was comfort. Food was pleasure. Food was the thing that I used to mask all of my emotions. Every diet I tried focused on what to eat, counting calories, counting macros, counting the amount of fat if you're doing the keto diet. It focused too much on food, which I was already obsessed about. All of them completely ignored the why. Why was I binge eating until 3 a.m. playing League of Legends? None of that was even discussed when you think about diets. I was using food as a mask. I was trying to treat my depression, my anxiety, all these negative emotions by over-consuming. And I didn't have the courage to acknowledge that. And until I did, nothing changed. It took over 50 failures for me to get the courage to acknowledge that fact. The fact that I wasn't using food for fuel, I was using food as a mask, and that mask was slowly killing me. The shift I needed wasn't about finding the perfect meal plan. I tried tons of them. The shift I needed was to refocus around what food meant for me. From food being an escape to food being fuel. From comfort to nourishment. And I'll be honest, I swung way too far to food just being fuel, and food lost all joy to me. It became purely nourishment and transactional. But sometimes you need to swing that far to overcorrection territory to bring back and find balance later. Secondly, they are purely driven on motivation in my experience and not systems. And motivation is good, it's a good fuel, but it burns up quick. Here's a perfect example, the keto diet. I know if you haven't tried it, you've probably thought about trying it, and I know I've tried it a couple of times now. Because when I would go online and see the promise of these people looking like Greek gods by eating hamburgers and hot dogs and bacon and all these things, because carbs, they are the enemy, of course. But I was desperate for answers, desperate for change, and this promise seems so darn good. I remember one time, as soon as I saw a picture, I pretty much threw out all the carbs in my kitchen, went down to Sobeys, and bought everything that had the word keto on the label. And I know you've probably thought about doing the same, but don't do it. It's a bad place to be. But I was excited. This was gonna work. This would finally be the answers to lose the weight and look different and feel different. But honestly, at this point, I didn't even care how I felt. I just wanted to look different. I wanted to stop being made fun of. And I thought the keto diet would unlock those answers. And it went okay for a little bit, and I did lose some weight. But then it all came crashing down on one bad day. At the time, I was in university studying electrical engineering, and some days you're going to be stuck at school studying pretty late at night. And when those things happen, you don't really care if you are on the keto diet or that you need to keep your carbs low. You are going to stress eat whatever's in the vicinity if you don't have the systems. And that's exactly what happened. There was a Tim Hortons, there was a muffin situation going on, and I consumed the muffin. Yeah, I broke ketosis, and that was the end of the keto diet for me. And that is the problem with motivation and not discipline, and discipline is built based on systems. But does that mean that on the 51st attempt that I actually ended up working that I wasn't motivated? Absolutely not. I was extremely motivated on that first day. But was I motivated on the second day, the third day, and every day after? Absolutely not. But the systems that I was building were doing their job at keeping me in the momentum and keeping me pushing forward. I had and still have the mental systems and the physical systems that kind of trigger when I go into this. And I am a software engineer, so it's going to get quite nerdy here, but I think it's going to be pretty valuable. Here is my mental system overview. The mental system, the framework that's constantly running in my mind and analyzing the situation and making me react to things, that's the system I had to really focus on. And by making the changes to that system, the physical systems kind of followed. But without the mental systems, the physical systems completely fall off the block. So that's why I want to share with you this right now. Here's an example of an old program. If feeling depressed, Brendan binge eat. I replaced this program and rewrote it, got rid of the bug, and decided to, if Brendan feeling depressed, Brendan don't binge eat, instead, Brendan walk. Here's another example of an old program. If feeling impulsive, Brendan react to the impulse and just do whatever your mind's telling you to do. I rewrote this and made it a bit better. If feeling impulsive, don't react to the impulse. Instead, Brendan, do your 5-minute journaling activity and decide to react to the impulse if you want to, but do it consciously. And those may have sounded a little bit silly, but I wasn't trying to make momentary change. I was literally trying to reprogram my mind after 15 years of, well, doing a bad program. Brief pause from our sponsor, the like button. If you could, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button. And if you're enjoying the content so far and you want to hear more about weight loss and transformation, hit the subscribe button right down below. Physical systems are the things that actually make us lose weight, such as eating less than we burn, moving more, and exercising regularly. But even those need to be systematized. Process one is buying food. Now, I mapped out my grocery store because the grocery stores are smart and they want you to buy the products, and they have the most enticing products in your plain sight. But if you can map out your grocery store to avoid those key areas that are trying to get you to consume, you can win the battle against the grocery stores. So map out your grocery store to avoid those areas. Process two is eating food. Now, for me, I would place my food scale directly in my line of sight, because if you don't weigh your food, you don't know how much you're eating, and I know that for a fact. I was over consuming so much, and until I started to use a food scale, I had no idea. But once I did use the food scale, revolutionary, and it made me aware of how much I was consuming. So I'd put that food scale directly where I usually prepare my food. Process three is exercising, and this might actually surprise you, but I would stop before it got hard. Why, you may ask? To eliminate the friction. I knew from previous experiences that I would go out way too hard. I would burn myself out, I would get injured, I would not want to do it. But by removing the friction before it got to that point, by stopping when I feel like I had more in the gas tank, I got out the next day and the next day. And once I got comfortable, yes, then I increased the intensity, but it wasn't until it became a core piece of my life. Reason three is diets promote an endpoint. Follow this diet until you lose 30 pounds. You can lose 10 pounds in 10 days, 30 pounds in 30 days. They all promote an endpoint. An actual weight loss that lasts does not have an endpoint. It is your life now. And I know for myself, this was extremely prevalent with any diet I tried. I vividly recall one time back in the summer of 2011, going into my senior year of high school, and I had a goal that I was going to lose 15 pounds before the beginning of football training camp. So Good Life was offering free memberships. Perfect opportunity. I grinded. I went to the gym every day. I counted every calorie that I had. And yes, I lost that 15 pounds before training camp. But did I keep it off? Well, at that point, I was 215 pounds and I eventually got up to 315. So you can make that judgment call. No, it did not last. So on my 51st attempt, the attempt that worked, I did not assign any type of weight loss goal. I just wanted to start living a life that made me feel better, made me more confident, and made me healthier. And the byproduct of doing that would be weight loss. But there wasn't going to be a specific goal. That does not mean that I didn't have milestones. Of course, I celebrated when I lost 10 pounds. I celebrated when I lost 20 pounds. But they were just mini incremental milestones along the way. What actually mattered was the lifelong journey of getting to the point that I am right now, of being an endurance athlete. That wasn't immediately obvious, of course. I didn't know that's where it would take me. I just lived a healthier life and exercised, and I got to this point, so I didn't get frustrated if the progress didn't come quickly. Those are the three things I think diets completely miss. And if you agree with them, let me know in the comment section down below. If you disagree with them, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you got any value out of this, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more about this type of stuff, and I will see you on the next one.